Good morning, friends. We are now ready to install the new frets. As you can see, I've taped up the neck, leaving just enough width along the fingerboard just to get the frets in. The reason I tape up like this is I will be gluing the fret slots with just tie bond. Now this doesn't glue the frets in. What this does is this is a gap filler. This will fill the slot, the gap in the slot between the bottom of the fret where the tang is and the slot in there. It just creates that solid connection which gives you a better resonance when noting strings or playing notes. Otherwise you're going to get that little bit of hollowness in there, and it does slightly alter the tone, I've found. Now I used to use epoxy in these slots, but it's hecking messy because it doesn't dry quite quickly, and this is like more or less a water-based type glue. This is a lot easier to clean up because when it's outside the guitar you can just pick it off, but when it's in somewhere and closed it does set rock hard. Much easier to remove, and like I say, it doesn't glue the frets in, it just fills that gap. If there is any gap, by the way, there's not necessarily going to be that much of a gap. Now you'll see I've also cut the frets to size, and I've radiused them. I radius these to within quite a close tolerance. They are just about radiused. It's about a 9-inch radius, and it's going on a 9.5-inch board. And there's the 22nd one, and there's the first one. They are both. I'm sticking them against my shirt so you can see them. There you go. And they are all perfectly radiused. I normally go with a bit tighter radius than I have done, but I didn't today. I went slightly with a. I went much closer because basically I just want these to press in. I don't want to press the edges in first and press the middle and spread them out, all because of the tang and the width of these fret slots, which is 1/2 mil. The tang on that is 1/2 mil, so we're going to get a good grip anyway. I just want these to go basically straight in, wallop like that. No pressing any edges in first or whatever, and that way we should get a good level. But to ensure we get a good level anyway, I'll remove the sandpaper from this, and we have a 9.5-inch radius beam, radius block, and I will be clamping the frets down. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not long enough. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right, it isn't long enough, but the thing is, I'm not doing all 22 frets. I'm doing 11 at a time. It's a 22 fret fingerboard. I will do 11 at a time. I'll do the first 11. Yeah, we'll get them clamped in, clamp them for a good hour. Then I'll come back and I'll do the next 11. We might get a bit of a discrepancy in the leveling later on, but we're not bothered about that. We're going to level the lot anyway. So that is what I'm going to be getting on with. I don't really think I'm going to film anything. It's a really simple procedure. I do have an arbor press converted to, or to take a pressing call or a fret call gubbins, which basically is just an arbor press, pull over, push down, just presses them in, wallop. Very simple device, very effective device. That is over there. All I need to do is to ensure that I get the neck supported well underneath, which I will do. I've got very good padding, and I keep the neck level when I install the frets. Really not a difficult procedure. I may come and show a little, I don't know yet, we'll see how we are. I've decided I'm going to do this refret in 3 sections, and I've already done 1 section, and I've only got 6 frets in, all on the level placed right under the heel, which is probably the easiest part, but I've got them in. I've got a radius block on there, and I've got them clamped, so they should go in really well. They were relatively level when I put them in. I did a little fret rocker test. I hammered some a little bit more, but with this clamp on there, it should press them in nice and evenly while the glue sets or while the fret beds in. And if they're not level when I remove this, we're all going to get leveled anyway. They will need some leveling after they are all in anyway. When I get to the next 2 lots, or next two sets of insulation, I'm going to do 8 at a time because I've done 6. I'm going to do an 8 block and an 8 block, so I'll give me 3 sections. I'm just going to let this dry for an hour. So while this is drying and setting, I'm going to move on to something else. I will come back and show you the frets once they are all in. So moving on, I'm going to show a little bit of my process, or the way I install frets. And I've taken to using a cocktail stick for putting glue in the fret slots, and you'll see I'm just going to do 2. I normally do these in 3s, sometimes in 4s, but I normally do them in 3s, 3 at a time. I've just come back from lunch, so this glue was dried a little bit on the cocktail stick, but that's, or not on the cocktail stick, but on the plate. But all I'm going to do is basically that, get some glue in there, move on to the next one. Just regular tight bond. It's not for gluing in the frets, it's for filling in the gaps between the fret tang and the slot, or the bottom of the slot. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just take a Stanley blade and just make sure we've got it in that slot. And again this side. We don't want a lot in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe up the excess, or just move the excess out of the way. Clean the blade, ready for next time. I'm going to take a little bit more. Remove the excess. Now you see I've cut or placed the paper to the exact width of a fret, so we're not going to get any excess anywhere. Frets are pre-cut. All I'm going to do is tap in, gently tap in the edges. Numbers 10 and number 9. They are now ready to go in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the camera, I'm going to zoom back out, I'm going to move the camera over to the fret press, which is basically an adapted arbor press. I'm going to remove the 9.5, put in the 7.25 radius. Now what this is going to do is the 7.25 is going to press the edges in before the middle. And I removed the block I normally have on there because we won't get enough height. That's the one for when I'm doing this end, but this side we can use the neck rest. What we're going to do is we're just going to gently line up, press the fret in, reline, and that's the edges, the outside edges pressed in. Now we're going to change the call in a moment to the 9.5 inch radius, like so. Pull it out, 9.5 inch radius. This is now going to press the centres in, and this is going to actually match the radius of the guitar itself. So there you go. Make sure we are central. Just pull and hold gently, don't go mental. I've got to put quite a bit of pressure on there. Again, pull and hold. We don't want to wear any cracks anywhere. Go back one just to make sure that's in right anyway. Back onto the bench. I will check with a fret rocker to see how close we are. I'll go back one first. I'm going to get that. They're level. A little bit high on that edge. A little bit high on that edge. A little bit high. So if it's not pressed in all the way, all we're going to do is take the fretting hammer, just a few light taps. And we're going to clean up the excess glue that's just squeezed out. And that is how I get my frets in. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 more to do. Once they are all in, I will get on the beam, and we'll just press them in. We'll clamp that down, just leave it for an hour or so, and then we can move on to clipping off the edges and move on to the fret leveling, beveling and recrowning. Welcome back guys, all the frets are in and I've got the final, we're at the final clamping stage. I did it in 3 lots altogether. I did 6 on the first stage. Second stage I've done 8, I did 8 this morning and 8 at lunchtime. And I've got it all clamped up. Well, basically I've already clamped it up with the first 8, so the second 8 are being clamped now. So tomorrow, once these are done, they've all gone in well. In fact, they've gone in very well. Tomorrow what I shall do is I shall come back and we'll get these edges beveled. Once we've trimmed the frets at the end, we'll get them all beveled. Once I'm happy with the beveling, we can get them levelled and move on to the recrown and polish. I should be doing all of that work tomorrow. I'm not going to do any more on this tonight. I've got other projects on the go. No need to rush this. I really want to take my time, so I'm going to spread this over the next couple of days. Tomorrow I imagine I will get all the frets beveled and levelled. I'll probably get the crowning and the polishing done. On Thursday I could basically, well, I can get the guitar set back up, get the new nut on there, get some new strings on there, and it will be ready. But like I say, I'm not going to rush it, so that is done for tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm going to move on to something else. Right, I have moved on a little with the refret, blah 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 blah. I have just finished beveling the edges of the frets. By beveling I mean these edges here. We've got them, instead of being vertical now, we've got them rolled over at 35 degrees. There's nothing catching on the edge of a fingerboard, so you're not going to catch your fingers on there. And how I have achieved that is there's a little, oh, it's sticking out a tiny bit. I'll sort that out in a moment. How we have achieved the bevel. If I can, I've got it strapped to a piece of, or bolted to a piece of 30mm MDF because I'm going to put this on the jig shortly. So I'll show you the bevel from here, and I can rest that on my shoulder. And the bevel are these edges here. And instead of going vertical, the beveled edges are now 35 degrees that way and 35 degrees that way. And how we achieve that is we use a beveled file, which I have one here. And that's the gubbins. And we'll basically strap this down to a table so it's nice and straight and smooth. And we just glide the file along until we get that angle in the frets. When it comes to doing the edges, right close to the neck, I do it by hand. And I do it with a number 4 cut hand file. And by doing that and taking it, I take it very as close to the lacquer, and I just skim the lacquer with it, but I don't burrow into it. And what that does is it gets us smooth, but it stops us cutting into the lacquer. It means we're always going to have this smooth edge down the edge, or down the whole length of the neck. It means we're not going to hurt our fingers when we play up and down the neck, obviously. What I'll do is I'll be rounding these edges off soon, but what I'm going to do next with this is I'm going to get strapped up on the neck jig over there. I'm going to get perfectly straight, we're going to get strapped in, and what we're going to do is then we're going to get everything all taped up between the frets, and we are going to level the frets. I always do the beveling first, because the beveling, when I'm beveling, this is going to scratch the top of the fret, so I always do the leveling last. So now I'm ready to do the leveling. Once I've done the leveling, I will round off these beveled edges and remove any burrs so we get a nice smooth fret. Something I can't do today because I've just coated the fingerboard in oil just to get rid of all the residue that was on there and any excess glue that was on the frets. But I think you'll agree now the neck is looking really, really good. Can't show the whole length because I'll smash my window because I've got the front window there, but there are the new frets. And I can probably just turn it around this way and show you this way. And there you go. And I think you'll agree that they are beautiful. Do a little bit of leveling, but the edges are in nice. If you want to stop and pause that, just have a look there. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful job. So something I'm going to have to do tomorrow because I'm waiting for this wood to dry, the fingerboard to dry, because I've coated it in oil. I've just wiped off all the excess, cleaned up the fingerboard. It's not going to take tape very well if I do it today, so I'm going to let it dry overnight and I'll crack on with this again first thing in the morning. So friends, you can now see that I have the neck. Basically, I'm just setting it up on the jig, and what I've done is I have the neck bolted to a piece of 30mm MDF, 30mm thick MDF, which I use to substitute the body of the guitar. We have it strapped to the jig, and the post underneath I've not set yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to support this underneath with these steel bars. Once we get it all level, we'll set these dials to 0 so we don't get any movement at all. At the moment it's moving about all over the place because I've not set it yet. What I need to do now is get this neck absolutely straight. 34, I'm not sure, 35. I need to tweak the truss rod, get this neck absolutely straight. So we'll get one there. Once it's straight, we're going to support it underneath, we're going to strap it in at this end. We're going to get it all taped up. I have all my various thicknesses of tape here. We'll get it all taped up. We're going to level the frets, which is the next part of the process. We've still have a bit of relief in there. So I'm going to get this all set I'll alter the truss rod, get it all level, get it taped up, get it supported, and I will move on to the fret leveling. So stay tuned for that. I'm back shortly. Right, I now have the neck set straight. You probably won't be able to see from there, but take my word for it. I've shine a light behind, and I've got the most minimal light underneath. Now the neck is not perfectly straight, but I think probably another 16th of a turn and we will be there. You normally know you're there when you can just stand this on there and it'll stand up on its own perfectly without wobbling, just like that. And that normally tells you that you're where you need to be. And there you go, I've even dropped a torch on the table and it is not. Knock this off. So that is it. We have the neck straight. So now what I can do is I can loosen these supports, get them all underneath, set the dials to 0, and we can crack on with getting the frets level. Now, normal circumstances I'd use the same level I use for doing my guitars, which is this one, which is about 16 inches ground flat, but this is not as long as the neck, and I don't want to take a chance not getting it flat everywhere. So what I've done is I've just cut a length of steel tubing, box section, which I bought for this purpose, and only one side is perfectly flat. This one's not been ground flat yet, so I'm only going to use this one side, but it is 1 inch wide again. We'll just get some 240 grit on there, and it's 1 centimetre over that fret and 1 centimetre over this fret. It means we're always going to get an even sand, so we're going to get the frets level all the way across. So I'm going to basically get this all set up, just go with 1 grit, 240 grit, till I've got them level. Once that's done, I'll change the paper and I'll go with some 400 grit. I will get this to a machine shop and get this milled perfectly flat. This has not been milled perfectly flat, but I have been with a light behind and there is no gap. It's as good as perfectly flat as you're going to get without it being milled. There's no gap there at all. I can't see anything looking at the window there. Tiny bit of this end. That is good enough for leveling frets. Not precision, not 100%, but it is 99.9% bang on. So I'll be quite happy with that, just using that side. So I'm going to get it all strapped in, get it all taped up, and then we'll go across with fret rocker, see which ones need more attention. Any that need quite a bit of attention, I will file down with the file first before leveling with the beam. Stay tuned. So we are now ready to rock. I have the neck all strapped in, supported underneath, strapped at that end. I have the 2 dials set to 0, so if we get any movement whatsoever, you should be able to see that where you are now. Get any movement whatsoever, these will tell me about it. So now, so long as we don't move this neck, we are going to get a complete and level straight leveling. Everything's going to level perfectly. I've marked some of the frets which are pretty high with my own code, so I know where to remove more material. I'm going to go across these higher areas, especially this area, this area, this area, where these frets are particularly high. I'm going to actually do that with a hand file and remove quite a bit of material from those areas before I get on there with the leveling beam. I still have to put the sandpaper on the beam. I'm going to do that now, then I'm going to crack on with the work. I don't expect there to be any problems, there never normally is. So I'm going to crack on with it, and once we get to the stage where I have them level, I'll come back and show you what we'll go across with. I've decided I'm not going to change the paper on this. Once I've got the frets level, I'll go across with this beam with the 400 grit just to smooth it off, because we're not going to remove material, we're just going to be removing scratches. This will work absolutely fine, just removing scratches. So come back for that. And here we are with the frets all levelled. I've just been across with the smaller beam with a 400 grit just to smooth it all off. All the tops of the frets are silver. I've been across with marker pen, sanded everything off again. Just going to go across just a couple with the fret rocker just to show there's no rock anywhere. And these are brilliant. We removed quite a bit of material from some of this end because they were sat a little bit higher in the neck for some reason. But we are all good. Frets are great, so wherever we remove more material, that is not a problem. We're going to re-crown them all anyway. I'm just going to zoom in to show where we are on the 0 dials, blah blah blah. And there you go, we're still zeroed out. That's moved a billionth of a thousandth of an inch, not even a thousandth, but you know, that's moved nothing. That's absolutely fine. It means we've got the neck straight, we've got the frets all level. We've still got good height on the frets there. So I'm now going to move on to the crowning and polishing. Now we have the neck in the vise in what I call the polishing area. But what we do before we polish the frets is we're going to remove any burrs from the beveled edges. And how we do that is I'll take my number 4 cut file. It's a Swiss file by Valorb. It's a fantastic file. It is really, really smooth. And I do have a safe, what we call a safe edge, ground flat. And what we can do is, all I'm going to do is I'm going to round off the beveled edges there, and it's just 3 strokes, and that is it. And what we're doing is removing the burrs from any of the beveled edges. And I'll just do another one and show. And it's a knack you pick up, you practice and pick it up. It didn't take me long to pick this up at all. It took me a few minutes. Make sure we've got the safe edge, and it's just 1 rolling over, 2 rolling over and away, and 3 just down. And what's done is, where the beveled edge is, we just removed any burrs from that area. Once that's done, we will take, and we go with some 800 grit, and we'll just round these over. And I've already done the guitar. I'll do this just with 800, and what I do is, when I go up the grits, I've got 5 more grits to go. I've got 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, 2500 grits. And what I do is, once I've polished the frets, and I've already done them in 800, I'm going to go over in 1000 grit now. And we're just polishing the frets like so. We get into the corners, blah 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 blah. And now this is just showing you roughly how it's done. That'll take a lot longer than this. And once that's done, we'll come round over the edges with what's left of the paper. So I'm going to crack on with polishing the frets. I have 5 grits of paper more to do. 1000 grit, 1200 grit, 1500 or 1500, 2000, 2500 grit, which I've already mentioned. I don't know why I repeated that. But once that's done, I will finish off with steel wool. The frets have all been crowned, obviously. The edges have all been tied in, beveled in. I did also go across the frets again with my diamond cut grooved file, which basically brings it all down to a beautiful shape. Removes any extra burrs I might have missed with the other file. It's a lot smoother file than the the normal profiling file. I was given this, it's a gift. It was given to me by Nigel Roberts, who is a Leicestershire luthier. It's a really nice guy. He's helped me a lot in the past. I picked up some great tips from him, and he's the best fretman I know, apart from myself obviously. So anyway, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get all these frets polished up. The reason we polish, we don't polish to give them a shine, we polish them for 2 reasons. One, to remove all the scratches that we've put in the filing and the sanding when we levelled them, and it will bring all the scratches out, but it also brings them up to a nice shine anyway. The frets have all got that nice rounded crown going that way, so I'm going to resume polishing these frets, and I'll catch you later. And here we are with the frets complete. Just finished polishing, just cleaned up the fingerboard after bringing it off the polishing table. That looks pretty good to me. You're not going to see it there because of a light shine. Let's get it away from the window. There you go. Is that any good to you? Show you the edges if you want to zoom in. Just hold it there. And again, this side. Frets are beautiful. So I'm sure the owner is going to be really, really pleased. What remains to be done now is I will put on a new nut, which I have in the packet there, bone nut. That's going on. I need to measure that up against the old one. When I find the old one, here's the old one. I think it's pretty much the same size. So in hindsight, I could have left the old one on there if I'd have got it out cleanly, which I did get it out cleanly, but let's just have a look at this. The was a little bit lower, but the grooves aren't as deep, the slots. So this is going to be a better nut. and just get them sized up together there. The old one is taller, but the string slots are higher in the new one. If I can just show, I'll get this right in a minute, I swear. I'll tell you, we're just sliding against each other, that's the problem. But the new one's behind, and that is going to go in absolutely fine. It's a little bit wider than the old. Is it? Oh come on, it's a tiny bit wider. That's how it's going to look. I'll try and get it in this way, get you off this angle. It's going to look pretty nice, it's going to look fantastic. So quite pleased with that. In fact, it's not wider. It is exactly right. I don't have to really adjust anything there. I can just glue that straight in. How smooth is it to the edge? Okay, I maybe need to just take an 1/8 of a millimetre off there. I'll just glide a file over. I'll just round over these edges just a little bit more, bring them in a little bit. That's going to be absolutely fine. I'm going to stick it in. I'm going to put a very tiny layer of epoxy in the slot. Very tiny. It'll still make it quite easy to get out. So I'm going to crack on with that. Also got the nut in. The neck can go back on the guitar. We'll put the strings on, and then we can basically reshape the nut slots. Make sure the string slots in the nut. Make sure everything's all nice in there. I do have some files to do that, so that's it. I'm going to crack on. I'll come out with a final update very soon. There we are, and the neck is now ready to go back onto the body. Exciting times. I shall do that. I shall check the string height above the nut. I put on a new nut because I knew the action was going to be a little bit higher with the new frets being slightly higher than the old ones. We have about 1.2 millimeters of height on the new frets, maybe a little bit more, maybe even 1.3. The old ones were below, definitely below 1.2, so should work absolutely fine. Let's have a look there. There you go, can you see? Beautiful. New nut on there. Bone, of course. I'm going to put it all back together. Ladies and gentlemen, how do? Right, the bass is all done. I've just finished setting it up this morning. I'm sure you will agree that the bass looks absolutely marvellous, because it does. There you go, blah 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 blah. Complete refret. I think the frets look absolutely wonderful. Well, I would say that's what I do. Fender Precision Bass Deluxe, made in the USA. On there. I've set the bass up this morning, absolutely beautiful. I've had to slightly tweak the intonation. A couple of saddles needed to come back just a little bit. We've got the intonation absolutely bang on the 12th fret. I've not had to touch the pickups, I left them out. The owner likes them. I would say these pickups are a little bit more radius, these two little split singles, a little bit more radius than I would personally have myself, but it's up to the owner. The nut has been beautifully cut. I will try and get to show you this end. I don't think I can because of walls, and I do not want to ding the guitar, but there you go. You can see how well the nut is cut. Brand new nut in there. Fret wire I chose in the end was Synton's. It is 2.6 millimeters wide by 1.4 high. Seems to ring a bell. Could be 2.4 wide. Looks like 2.6. Can't remember now. 18% nickel silver, so it's hard wearing and long lasting. The action I have set above the 12th fret, and don't ask me to know in nths of inches because I don't know, but I'm around about 2.7 millimeters on the low E above the 12th fret and 2.4, 2.5 on the high E, which is recommended for a good low-ish action. It's a medium action, I would say, quite well, medium low. Absolutely beautiful. Got a lovely radius on the saddles. I like to keep the saddles as straight as or as horizontal as I can. Just form that little arc that just goes down a little bit more at this end. Which with the guitar plays fantastic all up and down the neck. I'm not going to play it. One, because I'm not a bassist, and two, because that privilege should be the owner's. For those who like measurements, the adjust nut on the truss rod adjuster is 3/16 of an inch, and the size on the Allen screws on the saddles is 1/16 of an inch, so quite easy to remember. This being an American Fender, they still use, for whatever reason, and I really don't know why, they still use imperial measurements. You know, I do everything basically in millimetres. Anyway, just want to show the edges of the frets. If you want to pause that and have a look on that side and on this side. Not showing all of them, but absolutely beautiful. Nothing catching anywhere. Absolutely beautiful. I really take my time when it comes to doing the beveled edges on the frets. I do it by hand with a hand file, and I take my time with it. It's just beautiful. The guitar looks fantastic, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful. I've got no idea how much these things cost. I don't think they're cheap. Probably in the upper 1,000 something, going up towards 2,000, maybe even more, maybe 3,000. I don't know. I've got no idea. A guitar's value and worth doesn't really mean anything to me. It comes in, it gets the work done, and it goes back out. And I think that's a way we should work these things. So there you go, Fender Precision Bass, or Deluxe Precision Bass, made in the United States. I don't know what year it is, I've not looked up any history. It's one with all the active circuitry, blah blah blah. It's in tune, the intonation's done, it's refretted, it's looking fantastic, and I'm putting it back in its case, ready for the owner to come and collect it today at 4 PM. It's all up there on the whiteboard, case is down there. Not be taking any chances with this, so it'll be going away. So, boys and girls, check my webpage, fretfriend.co.uk. Even better, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. My name is Victor Christian. I am Fret Friend. Until next time, be good to each other, and see you again soon.